Hi all. Oh my gosh. You've all been so much fun to make videos for. I can't tell you the joy I get. I thank you for watching and I really enjoy the comments. I think I've responded to everybody. If I've missed you, please shoot me another one so I'm sure to respond. I attempt to respond to every single one of them, but sometimes they fly by, and I just can't stay up with it. But I do thank you for the comments. So tonight I'm going to make some what somebody would consider a traditional chicken pot pie, but I'm going to put my flair onto it. And my flair is, instead of using a pie crust, I'm going to make shredded potato crust. And then inside, and I'll bake it. Once that's done, then I will fill it with the ingredients that I would traditionally put into a chicken pot pie. I'm going to use the same ingredients and put it inside the crust made from the shredded potatoes. And I'll add everything else into it. And I'm going to use rice. I hope that makes sense. I think it'll show easier as I do it than me trying to explain it. Come along, let's get started. I believe I'm ready to go. I have everything laid out that I'm going to work with and use, other than the spices, which will take place over on the stove. Looks like a lot of stuff, doesn't it? But can you imagine if you had to cut everything, prepare everything, and get ready for dinner on the night that you're cooking it? That's why I prep. Look at all this. These are the ingredients that are going to go into my chicken pot pie. All these lovely vegetables right here. All I have to do is cut, dump, stir. Chicken's prepped as well, ready to go. Strawberries for dessert. We'll use this later. But I have everything out here laying on the counter that I'm going to use. So the first thing I'm going to start with is the rice. I'm only going to use a cup of rice. Again, this is rice I buy on bulk. And I'm going to rinse it first. So let me get a cup of rice out and we'll get to rinsing and then we'll get to cooking. All right, let's move along. So first things first, let's get the rice rinsed. I always rinse the rice. I want to get any debris and I want to rinse off any unwanted, unneeded starch. And I'm not a doctor. This is just coming from my own anal self. Rice has a tendency to be full of arsenic, so I want to rinse off any undue natural chemicals I don't want. So I'm going to rinse it so the water runs clean, where it's not cloudy, milky looking. Then I'm rinsing with hot water. That looks perfect. All right, so now that I've got it rinsed, I'm going to leave it soak in a pan of water for about 20 minutes before I take it to the stove and start cooking. So let's move on to the vegetables and the chicken. Using the vegetables, I'm actually going to cook all of them. I'm going to kind of pre-blanch, pre-cook everything in a skillet before it goes into the oven. Now I'll pre-cook the chicken as well. The vegetables are still frozen, so I'm going to take the peas out, put them in the bowl. Isn't that nice? Put in corn. Now today, corn on the cob is on sale. 4 ears for $1 at the grocery store. Oh, I didn't buy any. This corn, I bagged and cut and froze 72 ears of corn late spring, early summer, when it was on sale for 12 ears for $1. I'm not spending 25 cents for an ear of corn when I prepped it long ago. There it is. I'm going to cook with some celery that I also had cut and froze. In goes my celery. Isn't that nice? Dump, cut, stir. That's my model. The onions I am going to pre-cook with the chicken, so we're going to set that aside. I'm going to put some carrots in there that have also been pre-cooked and frozen. And I pre-cook and blanch everything in water for about 15-20 minutes until everything starts to boil to the surface. When I get a foam, it tells me that the veggies are cooking nicely and any dirt debris has been rinsed off, so I can dump it, rinse them, bag them. Then I'm going to put in some mushrooms that I've had frozen. These have actually been in the freezer for about 4 months. I just buy them when they're fresh. I wipe them off, make sure there's no dirt. I then freeze them just like that they are, and in the freezer they go. Next thing will be the spinach leaves, but those I'm going to put in after I thaw these for a moment in the microwave. Like always, my skillet has been put on the burner. I've already turned it on so that it'll warm up. Once it is warm, I'll then turn it down hot, then I'll turn it down a bit. I first want it hot before I put anything in there so that it doesn't stick this skillet, and the cold items that go in will slow down the temperature of the cooking quicker than I want it to. So it's on high until the skillet is warm. Now I'm going to cube up some chicken. Look, that's not a lot of chicken. I don't need a lot of chicken with all the veggies I have. You get less than this. If you was to buy one of those frozen pot pies, for 4 people, you'd get less chicken than that. But that's enough for Kevin and I. So I'm going to get that cut up into chunks. Real easy to do. Look at that. Real easy to do. My veggies have thawed. I'll get them out of the microwave here in a moment. But for right now, I want to get the chicken into the skillet. I can tell by looking at how the oil has separated that the skillet has gotten hot to the temperature that I desired it to be. So I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to take it off the high mark, and I'm going to move it to medium, about a 4.5. Temperature, for those of you who have electric stoves, that range from 0 to 10. All right, let me turn down the heat. And let's get the chicken in here. I've also turned on my oven, so my oven is preheating at 425. I'm then going to put in some onion. I'm not going to use the whole pack, I don't need to. So I'm going to cut it here, just take a few out. I don't need all those. That's all I'm going to use. I'm going to cut those up a little bit more too. And now I previously froze these onions. All I do is I take the skins off them and I put it in my food processor and I slice them. But for tonight, I want them diced. So I've taken the sliced, pre-prepped onion. I've now diced them, and they go. I'm going to use my trusty good old standby spatula that I love. It is a hard, flexible, rubber type material. I like to use it so that I don't scratch my skillets. All right, so that's now cooking and being prepped up with heat. Time to put the veggies in. The veggies have come out of the microwave, and I'm now just going to put them all right in there, like so. The peas, corn, carrots, mushrooms, celery, all goes in the same pot. So don't panic, all's good. Now that the cold vegetables have went in, I now need to turn that up because it's lowered the temperature of the skillet. All right, so the rice is soaked. While my vegetables cook, I'm going to now drain the water off the rice that was soaking. I am going to actually fry the rice. Rice drained, let's get it cooked. Cooking the rice is a breeze. I'm going to put a little olive oil in there on hot. Once it gets hot, we'll dump in the wet rice. I'm going to turn the vegetables down. Now that the skillet has reached the temperature and the vegetables have reached the temperature of the skillet, I'm going to turn it down. Now I'm just going to let that cook on low a little bit. The reason I'm cooking it here is I want that chicken to cook and I want those flavors to marinate. So I don't have to dump oil in my pans. I can use a sprayer. I'm really looking forward to that. That too will save waste. I won't be using oil. So I'm just going to put that oil around the sides and the bottom of my little skillet where the rice is going to go. Now that my vegetables are cooking down and starting to simmer, I'm going to use a chicken bouillon, which will just enhance the flavor. I do have some chicken broth in the freezer, frozen, but tonight's a night where I don't feel like taking that extra step to walk out to get it, so I'm going to cheat and use a bouillon. So I'm only going to use half of that. There we go. I'm going to break that up in there. which will enhance the chicken flavor. Oh, what the hell, let's use it all. I'm feeling a bit dangerous. There we go. This is really a simple dish that you can make at home yourself. If you've ever made homemade chicken soup, I'm doing it the same way that I would the soup, but instead I'm going to make a thicker gravy, and this is going to go in the oven and bake for a little while, not long. And because I'm using a potato base crust instead of using flour, I'm gonna add rice with it, and you'll see how that works when we get to that step. My skillet's hot, let's pour the rice in. And it's okay if that's kind of straightening, I'm good with that. We're gonna let that cook down a little bit. Now we're just gonna leave it alone, let it cook, like a fried rice. Once again, you can tweak this recipe any way you like. It's like I often say, it's okay. All right, that's gonna continue to cook. And while that continues to cook, I'm going to put in some turmeric, because I like my turmeric. I'm putting in about a half a teaspoon. As you've heard me before, if you've watched my videos, turmeric is good for flavoring and it's good for your blood. It's really a great spice to work with. So in that went. Doesn't that look good already? Look at that. So we're about ready to make a gravy sauce. But let me check on that chicken. Pardon me, the rice. Now you can see how that rice is starting to cook like fried rice, and it's clumping, which is perfect, because now I need to put in some water, cover it back up, leave it alone, and let it cook down. So we're going to add water. Hot the dickens, and then we'll cover it. Cover it up, leave it alone. The onions I didn't use, I'm just going to wrap a rubber band around that, put it back in the freezer, and use it another time. Now I'm going to turn the heat down. I had it at a 7.5 out of 10 setting, and I'm now going to take it down to a 2.0, which is just above a simmer. Just so that water cooks off the rice and I can dump it into the vegetables. I'm going to stir that up. That's actually done, so I'm going to move it aside. While we're over here, I'm going to take advantage of using the counter spot for my shredded potatoes. Now I've washed my potatoes and I'm going to use them as the crust. So I'm going to get the potatoes cut and we'll put them in the hopper so that we can shred them, and that'll be used for the crust. All right, so let me get these potatoes cut. I'm going to use 2. Whatever I don't use for the crust, I'll start with 1. How's that? If I need more potato, I'll do a second one. Okay, I got the potato cut in half. It's going to get loud for a moment. I'm going to throw it in my hopper, and we're going to make shredded potatoes. Here we go. I'm going to use both of them. I can always freeze it, right? Get that cut. done, and I don't have to do it by hand. That's impressive. The rice. It looks done. Oven is preheated at 425. Rice is done. Perfect. We'll turn that off. Set it aside. Let's go work on the crust. So let's get the potatoes in my bowl. And they're shredded up. Okay. Look at that. Isn't that nice? You're like, what the hell is he doing with that? I'm going to show you here in a moment. So that's a nice blend of potatoes, all shredded. Probably going to be a little too much, but I can freeze it. I'm going to slather it with lots of Lowry's because I want that flavor to not just taste like dull, bland potato. Okay, now let's give it some garlic a little bit after I do some more Lowry's. Here we go. So I'm going to put in sea salt, which is what I cook with. I like it better than iodized salt. So let's get in the sea salt. The sea salt, as you know, will give it a salty flavor, but it also helps pull the moisture out of it as it cooks, because salt isn't astringent. All right, I'm going to like some celery salt in there. And I want to put some Italian blend in there. I don't want those potatoes to just be a blah little flavor. Some Italian blend. Quite a bit, isn't that great? Okay, now I'm going to put in 3 eggs. The eggs are going to work like a binding agent to hold this potato together as it cooks as a crust. Stir that up. Just a simple process, right? It's going to be so good. It's really easy to make. It's just that there's so many steps to it. That's all. But because I prepped in advance, it made it really simple. And if I wasn't filming it, I would have flown through this in 10 minutes time. But I will make sure that you are able to see how easy and wonderful this is to make. Now what I'm also going to do at this point is I'm going to throw in a little cornmeal. If you don't have cornmeal, you can use flour, you can use corn flour, you can use oat flour, which I often do. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to use some cornmeal because it's going to give it a slightly different flavor. And you'll be like, when you taste it, like, what was that? All right, so that's nice and wet, so I want to put in just a little more cornmeal. And you don't have to put anything in here if you don't want to. I'm doing it only because I want it to solidify better, because potatoes are wet. Okay, that's mixed up very nice. Now I'm going to get it put in my individual chicken pots for baking, but I do need to get my parchment paper. To listen and learn. I've listened to many of you on my channel in the comments saying, Jeff, when you're working with parchment paper, wet it first or just crumple it up. It lays in there for you much easier. An epiphany took place. Why didn't I think of that? Because sometimes it takes other creative minds to get you thinking. So thank you. Just crinkle it. Now I'm going to cut it in half. Now I have 2 beautiful little baking bowls here. Perfect size for Kevin and I. What we don't eat tonight will be lunch tomorrow. Let me get those filled.
Boy, that's perfect. For all of you that gave me that little tidbit, I thank you. That is perfect. Fits right down in there. Now the parchment paper, I use it, as you know, for 2 reasons. Makes cleanup really easy, and it also makes whatever I cook easy to get out. So now I want to put in potato. I'm going to get that in there, quite a bit. Then I'm going to press it around like a crust. If I get too much, I can take some out. If I don't get enough, I'll put some in. I'm going to use the back of a spoon, and I'm just going to kind of press that down like a crust. See? Just like that. Up against the sides. Isn't that nice? I invite you to try this yourself. You'll be amazed how wonderful that cooks and how wonderful it tastes. And you're not working with a crust of any sort of wheat or flour if you have a gluten intolerant like I do. So let's get that pushed down and around. And by pushing it, I now can get a little bit more potato in the bottom. Then these are going to go in the oven for 30 minutes on 425. I am not putting the filling in at this point. Isn't that wonderful? And that was enough potato. Potatoes will cook down slightly because they're water. Get that pushed up. And there's a lot of water in there from the potato at this point. And that's okay because it's going to cook down. I want a little bit in there. You know, that was just perfect. 2 potatoes was just enough. That's great. And the liquid in the bottom, I don't need. All right, so this is gonna go in the oven for 30 minutes. Let's get those in at 425. Set my timer for 30 minutes. And we'll check on them. In the meantime, we're going to finish making the vegetables. I'm going to go ahead and use the same bowl that I used for the potatoes after I make a gravy. So I've got the rice in there. This has come to a nice boil. I'm going to turn it down, and I'm now going to thicken it. I wanted to wait to thicken it until the rice went in because rice will take up some of that moisture. But boy, this tastes good, and boy, that's really thickening up nicely. Look at that. Okay, that's thickened up. That's what's going to go inside those little pies. This is going to get turned off, and now we just wait for another 23 minutes, and the crust will be ready. I'm going to clean up my kitchen. And the mess isn't awfully bad. I'm going to speed it up as not to bore you. While all that's cooking in the oven, the potato crust, I'm going to make some cornbread to go with it. So I've got my 2 cups of cornmeal. I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, or 2.5 milliliters, and I'm going to add salt. Same, 1/2 teaspoon or 2.5 milliliters of salt is what I'm going to add. There we go. I'm going to stir those together. That's all. Mix it together with a whisk. Now it calls for buttermilk, which I don't have. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to fudge a bit and see if this works. I'm gonna put in a little bit of yogurt instead. All right, now it's calling for the cups of milk. Try and say I really want to stir it with. I think I'll use this spoon. So we want 2.5 or 1.5. Let me get this right for you before I tell you. 1.5 cups of milk is what's going to go in there. I'm going to stir that together. When you make cornbread, you got to make sure you don't overbeat it. You don't want to do it like you do a cake mix. You just want to stir it, not whip it. So I'm just going to toss it a bit. While I'm tossing it, I'm going to get in 4 tablespoons of butter, what it calls for. So I melted it in the microwave. Where's my little spatula? I don't have it handy, so I'm going to use a spoon. I'll make sure I get all that butter. I'm only going to use a teaspoon heaping of yogurt. I hope that works. So let's mix that together. It's starting to set up already. That's nice. Hopefully it'll work. We're going to find out. Now this only cooks for 12 to 16 minutes at 450 degrees. I think that's a little dry. I'm going to add a little more milk. Yogurt flavor sure coming through. That's nice. I'm going to do this gradually. I can always add more. I can't take it out. Oh, that's better. That's better. Okay, I think that's blended up nicely. Now we're going to put it nice in my little baking dish. That's how simple it is to make cornbread. All right. Now what I'm going to do, because I like to live on the wild side. That's going to be so good. I'm going to drizzle honey on top. Let it cook with some honey on top. That'll be good. There we go. That bakes for 12 to 16 minutes on 4. So let me get my potato crust out of the oven and the cornbread in. Fill these up. Don't those look good? Can you see them or not? Probably not. This is the potato crust. Look how nice those are. That's a potato crust. That's gonna be so good. Oh my gosh. You can smell this. Now this only has to go in the oven for about 10 minutes. So it's going to come out perfectly around the same time the cornbread comes out. Let's fill it up. Look how nice that looks. You see that? Beautiful. So the potato crust, again, is just replacing a flour pie crust type. So in this goes, wonderful. I like to heap it up that way. Okay, Now those are gonna go right back in the oven. See how beautiful that is? "12 minutes left for the dinner to be done and the cornbread. I'm gonna just put this potato in the bowl. Gelatinable, not waste it. And the rest of the leftovers here. And I'll do something with that tomorrow. So the chicken pies are done. Let me get them out of the oven and show you. And the cornbread's a minute away. So let me get the chicken pies out of the oven. Boy, those look fantastic, don't they? And the cornbread is done. Look how beautiful those turned out. Nice potato crust. Those are going to be so wonderful. Let me get them out. Of course, when I set down the plate, it's going to leak because they should set up about 10 or 15 minutes before you take them out. However, Kevin and Koji are lurking in the background. They're hungry. So, get that out. Just see how fantastic this looks. Look at that. See the sides of it? Isn't that wonderful? That's a feast. Let's get the other one out. Koji, tell Kevin dinner's ready. Go get Kevin. All right, here they come, both of them. Look how wonderful that looks. Yeah, it's clearing out. I know, I'm just saying. Let's see if I can get this off this parchment paper for you. That look great?
Big portion.
It is a big portion. There we go, look at that. That's a big portion. One would have been plenty for Kevin and I both. It might still be.
That's plenty.
I think it's plenty. The other one,
Yeah.
The other one will freeze.
That's plenty. Absolutely. Plate though. What's going on? What's going on?
Look how beautiful that is. Alrighty. There you go. Go ahead and start. Koji, are you hungry? You want your dinner? All right. Koji, you're getting some chicken. Koji's getting some.
That's good.
Isn't that
I
good?
used one of those stovetop style.
I did not. That's all from scratch.
That's delicious.
Isn't that delicious? Oh my God, it's a take. Koji's getting chicken. There's your chicken thigh. All right. I think you have everything there you need. Isn't that good?
Very good.
Good, I'm glad you're right. Cornbread. How about that? Isn't this a feast?
Yeah.
All right. Bon appetit. And there's butter and honey for it. Boy, it smells wonderful, doesn't it? And the crust on the pie is made from shredded potatoes.
Nice.
It looks really good. You're welcome. Enjoy. Butter on it. Got warm in here cooking. Just let's use the plate for a moment. Boy, that looks good. Nice potato crust. That really is good. So, prepping is a true testament to how much food you can make from little portions. I want to thank you for coming along, watching this video. But isn't that a beautiful, beautiful pot pie made with potato crust along with homemade cornbread? Isn't that a fabulous dinner? And you saw how much food it was, and I prepped for 2 people. We clearly could not have eaten, each of us, one of these. So we will save this one for another time. I'll freeze it and we'll be ready to eat. Thanks for coming along. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, tell me what you thought, give me your comments, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care of each other, be kind. Ciao.